Cuba! Hands off Venezuela! Hands off 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 Cuba! Hands off Venezuela!
Hands off Cuba! Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Cuba! Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Cuba! Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Cuba! Hands off Venezuela!
Hands off Cuba! Hands off Venezuela!
How's he doing?
Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Cuba! 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 Hands off Cuba! Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Cuba! Cuba Si bloqueo no! 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 Cuba Si! Cuba Si! Maduro presidente! Chávez presidente! 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 Maduro presidente! Presidente! Chávez presidente! Maduro presidente! Chávez presidente! Maduro presidente! Hands off Cuba! Hands off Venezuela! 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 No coup in Venezuela! No coup in Venezuela! No coup in Venezuela! No coup in Venezuela! Yankee go home! Yankee go home! Yankee go home! Yankee go home! So folks, we're just gonna stay here and show our solidarity for another hour or so. We're keeping a vigilant eye to see if the opponents of Cuba show up. If they do, we're going to be here in bigger numbers than them, and we're going to make more noise than them. Keep the chants coming. Cuba Si bloqueo no! 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 Hands off Cuba! Hands off Venezuela! 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 Hands off Cuba! here today, blocks from here, convening a special session of the UN Security Council with the purpose of trying to promote the coup in Venezuela. And they just appointed as their point person, some of you folks that are as old as me will remember when we were fighting against the Contra war against Nicaragua, they appointed Elliot Abrams as their point person. Remember that guy? Yeah, let's hear it for Elliot Abrams. So that meeting is taking place today. So our protest coincides with that, and it also coincides with the stepped up bellicose rhetoric and actions and threats against revolutionary Cuba. So it's great that we're here. More people are coming, making our presence, and that's the context that everybody's aware of that's so critical politically today, because Washington is on the biggest campaign to try to overthrow the sovereign government of Venezuela since their failed coup in 2002 and the failed oil bosses strike in 2004. And they're trying to whip it up right now, as we all know. So that's why we're here chanting, hands off Venezuela, hands off Cuba. Hands off Cuba.
Hands off Venezuela.
Hands off Cuba.
Hands off Venezuela.
Hands off Cuba.
Hands off Venezuela.
Hands off Cuba.
Hands off Venezuela. Hands off Cuba. Hands off Venezuela. Hands off Cuba. Hands off Venezuela. Hands off Cuba. Hands off Cuba. Hands off Venezuela. Hands off Cuba.
Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Cuba! Hands off Venezuela! Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. My name is Ike Nahem. I'm with the York-New Jersey Cuba Si coalition. I think we all know why we're here, so I just want to call people, or we have representatives from different groups who want to say a few words. How about somebody from December 12th movement?
We did a slogan the other night at the Venezuelan consulate, and we asked ourselves, why are we here? And we said, because we are Venezuela. And today, standing across the street from the Cuban Mission, we understand the importance of Cuba in the world today. Because they demonstrated that a small nation with a united people and a correct political leadership can beat back the terroristic attacks of a superpower. And for that, we will always be forever grateful for the example of Cuba. But it's not enough to appreciate them. It is to be here in solidarity with them, to help them beat back the attacks. The Trump-Bolton aggression plan has targeted Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua. But we also want you to understand that we're an African people. And as an African people, we understand our role in the world. Our role in unity in the struggle against imperialism. We understand the fundamental contradiction, but we also understand the right to self-determination and national liberation. And in that regard, we say Bolton and Trump's plan is not just in the Western Hemisphere, but it is targeted Zimbabwe. And people sometimes now say, when it comes to an African country, they hold a different standard. They hold a different standard. Even people who consider themselves progressive, because they say, well, Africans are not revolutionary enough. Well, the first revolutionary act is to liberate your country. Secondly, it is to retake the resources that belong to the people, not only above ground, but under the ground. There are no perfect people, there are no perfect parties, there are no perfect countries. But we gotta be on the right side of history. And to be on the right side of history, you gotta understand what the problems are in the world and whose side you're on. So we're proud to be here with y'all, because this is where we should be. It's not just an intellectual question, it is a question of action. It don't matter how cold it is, because we are warmed by the revolutionary legacy of Cuba. So straight ahead, never give up. Why are we here? U.S. hands off Cuba. U.S. hands off Venezuela. U.S. hands off Zimbabwe. We will be free.
Thank you very much, brother. So, somebody from Workers' World Party?
Thank you for joining us here. Long live the resistance in Venezuela. Long live the resistance in Cuba. Let us understand why we're here today. This is not about about democracy, because the claims of the opposition in Venezuela, we could go through it, but we know it's complete nonsense.
That's right.
This is naked aggression.
Yep.
This is about resources. This is about seizing the resources of the peoples of the South. The government, the United States government does not care what the people of Venezuela think, but they care what we think. This is about getting our consent. That's what they need to wage war. And we cannot give our consent to them. Let them know that we're against this aggression and we do not stand with them.
Y'all are very, very courageous to be here. I am a member of the Black Liberation Army. I am a soldier, and each one of you are soldiers. Each one of you are very courageous people. As y'all know, we were told that the opposition was going to be here, and y'all showed up. That's an indication that y'all are very, very courageous people. We must support Cuba. When I was in prison, Fidel Castro tried to get me out of prison, but Jimmy Carter said, no, Tariq is a terrorist. Jimmy Carter told Fidel Castro that I am a terrorist, but Fidel tried to get me out. The Cuban government is not going to turn Assad over to Donald Trump or any other fascist dictator. The Cuban people are celebrating 60 years of not living under terror. 60 years of not having the CIA guns to their heads and guns to the children's heads. So they are celebrating 60 years of freedom. And we celebrate with them because we especially appreciate knowing that there are 10 million people on this side of the world who are not being terrorized, living in total terror 25 hours a day. So we are doing a good thing to be here in support of Cuba and in support of the Venezuelan people. I love you, and certainly the Cuban people love you. Power to the people!
Power to the people! Power to the people! Power!
Defend Cuba! Hands off Assad! Defend Cuba! Hands off Assad! Defend Cuba! Hands off Assad! Defend Cuba!
Seth Galinsky, who's a Socialist Workers' Party candidate for public advocate. Seth.
For more than 60 years, the U.S. government has tried to destroy the Cuban Revolution. We have to ask yourself, what are they afraid of? They're afraid of the example, the only country in the world where the working class has taken power and shown that it is possible to run society in the interest of all of humanity and not in the hands of a tiny minority of capitalists. For 60 years, it's been both Democrats and Republicans. Every single president in the U.S. has maintained the embargo against Cuba without exception. We say, end the embargo now. The U.S. government thinks that they're the policemen of the world and that they can go wherever they want and tell anybody what to do. They have no right to interfere in the internal affairs of the people of Venezuela. It is only up to the people of Venezuela to decide what their road forward is. The U.S. government has no right to do that. Who began the sanctions against Venezuela? Obama. Democrats and Republicans alike. That's why I'm running. The working class, we need our own voice. We need our own party. We need our own foreign policy. And to stop relying on any party that defends the interests of the bosses. U.S. hands off Venezuela, end the embargo of Cuba, long live the Cuban Revolution.
Okay, I got Georgia is from Veterans for Peace.
I have a very important announcement. I want you all to know that I have appointed myself the mayor of New York. And furthermore, I already have been recognized by several of my neighbors. I urge you to find something that you want to be the head of and appoint yourself. If they can do it, we can do it.
Thank you, Georgia. From Committees of Correspondence for Socialism and Democracy.
Thank you, everybody. We all know why we're out here. I want to put before you a concrete measure to take, that we can all take. I wish we had a socialist government in the United States, but we don't yet. So what we need to do is to press those that are in our government to do the right thing. So I'm urging everybody to call your member of Congress and urge them to sign on to the Dear Colleague letter that is being circulated in Congress by Representative Ro Khanna. That's a concrete thing we can do, and we've got to get on it. Call now when you get home. Keep calling. I'm calling my Representative Maloney, telling her she needs to sign on. No intervention in the affairs of another country!
Right on! Thank you. Jan from the Internationalist Group.
Hello everybody, it's important that we're all out here today. The Trump administration is doing exactly the same thing that the Obama administration did in Honduras. Now they're trying to organize a coup in Venezuela. They were doing it already in 2002, and they have done it consistently throughout the world. The U.S. imperialism doesn't matter whether it's Democrats or Republicans. They are all attempting to dominate the world, and we need to fight against that with a revolutionary mobilization. It cannot be fought just in Venezuela. We cannot simply defend Cuba. We need to fight for an international socialist revolution.
Yeah! Fight for Puerto Rico's freedom!
And for the freedom of Puerto Rico in a socialist federation of the Caribbean. We need to not only just defend the democratic rights, we need to expose the phony democracy that they're promoting in Venezuela that is in fact simply puppets for U.S. imperialism. And to do that, we need to fight for a revolution in this country. Because no matter which party is in power, it's continually going to be devastating the countries of Central America, Latin America, and finally I just want to say this is part of an overall defense of the struggles of the working people around the world. We need to not only defend Cuba, but also North Korea, China, Vietnam, against counter-revolution and against imperialism. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jan. Okay. Is that Steve from the Struggle newspaper?
Comrades, friends, and fellow workers, my name is Steve Millies from a new publication called StruggleLaLucha.org. And we hear that Trump and Pence say they want to return democracy to Venezuela. You know what they want to return to is the days when Nelson Rockefeller, the butcher of Attica, had a 100,000-acre ranch in Venezuela. That's half the area of New York City. The butcher of Attica. He had a chain of supermarkets. That's what they want to return to. Venezuela was a province of the Rockefeller family. A Standard Oil, which is now ExxonMobil. That's what they want to return to. They want the oil. They want the gold. They want to exploit the labor. President Maduro was democratically elected, like Salvador Allende. He got 67% of the vote. And what is his background? Is he from the upper crust? Is he from the country club? Said no. He was a bus operator. Can you imagine what we could do if we had a bus operator, a good member of TWU Local 100 in the White House and in the Congress? They would pass pro-working class measures. We have to go to our other fellow working people and patiently explain why to get the U.S., to get the Pentagon their claws off of Venezuela is in our interest. A government that refuses to pay its own workers for 5 weeks has no right at all to go anywhere else in the world. Long live the Bolivarian Revolution!
I'd like to hear now from Jaime Mendieta, from the oldest Cuban-American organization that supports the Cuban Revolution in the United States, Casa de las Americas.
First of all, we want to thank everybody. Our gratitude has no limits. I came expecting a small group here, and I'm overwhelmed by the turnout. This was done overnight. It shows the feelings of the people standing up to the imperialist Trump. Their plans to really rule the world is what they're up to. It's Venezuela, it's every other country. It's Cuba. It's been Cuba for 60 years.
It's Puerto Rico, too.
And Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is 150 years, whatever it is, yeah, that they've been in Puerto Rico. So, again, I want to thank everybody. Wow, I can't believe the turnout. I see all the organizations. I see 712, I think. I see Workers' World. The Socialist Workers' Party, the Communist Party. I'm grateful to all of you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Casa de las Americas. I want to make an announcement before we hear from some more speakers. On Friday, February 8th, we're going to have a celebration in New York City at the new beautiful People's Forum to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Cuban Revolution, of the triumph of the Cuban Revolution. So try to remember it, put it in your phone or your calendar, Friday, February 8th. And we're also going to say goodbye for now to the wonderful ambassador across the street, Ambassador Ana Yance, who has a new assignment as the Deputy Foreign Minister of Cuba, and is going to be leaving her post as the Ambassador of Cuba to the UN. So this is going to be a special event. Please remember it and be there at the People's Forum Friday evening, February 8th.
Absolutely, yeah.
The reception will start at 6 o'clock. Cameron from the Communist Party USA.
Really happy that we have a nice turnout for this action. You know how the imperialist system is a threat to all the issues that we face. You know, obviously constantly threatening the people of Venezuela and Cuba and, you know, Iran and Syria and all over the world. But it's also a threat to the U.S. people here at home to get the things that we need for social needs. We spend almost $1 trillion every year on war, and they say they can't fund health care. The U.S. war machine is the #1 consumer of fossil fuels in the world, the biggest polluter in the world, and we have, you know, so many people in the U.S. that are concerned about the environment. The best thing that we could do is really be a part of these mass struggles for the issues that people are facing in their lives, whether that's, you know, the mass organizations struggling for universal health care, a good environment. A lot of people don't know, you know, the basic fact that the U.S. is the biggest destructor of the environment, and that's because our media is controlled by the corporations. So I think that the best thing we could do is just be a part of all the mass movements that are fighting for the immediate needs of the working class, and really trying to make the connections to, you know, why we need to fight against imperialism to get the things that we need. My name is Cameron Orm from Communist Party USA.
Okay, now we have Jessica from the Freedom Road.
Yet again, the imperialist U.S. government is targeting a progressive, democratically elected leader, Nicolas Maduro, because the United States hates to see a country elect a leader that opposes its interests. Our government has decided to launch an all-out attack on the government and people of Venezuela by declaring an unelected politician to be the president of Venezuela. A puppet, you are so right about that. Why would the U.S. claim to care about human rights while violating the self-determination of Venezuela? Because the capitalist ruling class doesn't want to see a country that elected a bus driver and someone who proudly calls himself a socialist running any country. So Trump will do anything to suppress the will of the Venezuelan people.
And get their oil.
And their oil as well. And before we condemn Venezuela for their supposed dictatorship, we should look at our own corrupt system. Why is a country that can't provide basic needs like healthcare and housing to all of its people pointing the finger at a country with the majority elected president representing the interests of the working class instead of the wealthy capitalist class? Before you blame Maduro, or rest in peace, Chavez, for starvation and other problems in Venezuela, look first at the United States, which has collaborated with the wealthy class in Venezuela to create a scarcity of goods, hoarding food and other necessities from the people, to create a crisis and then threaten coups and intervention. And that's why we must continue fighting against a U.S.-led coup in Venezuela. Maduro himself recognizes the power of the people, the working class in the United States, and we in the Freedom Road Socialist Organization support Nicolas Maduro and the Bolivarian Revolution against U.S. imperialism.
Thank you very much. Now we have Taryn from the International Action Center.
I had the honor of being invited to Venezuela last year, and I can tell you that I saw with my own eyes that these people are living through a war. They don't have the basic necessities. They don't have everything that they are entitled to from the wealth of their own land because of genocidal U.S. sanctions. Genocidal U.S. sanctions, and they are not alone. But this war did not start yesterday or the day before. This war did not start, when I was there last year during their run-up for the elections. This war did not start in 2002 with the illegal coup attempt against Chavez. This war started against this hemisphere in 1492, right? This is a struggle that we have been fighting for a very long time, and it is really encouraging to see so many people out here in the cold because we're all continuing this war together. It is an intergenerational war. It is hundreds of years old, and we have to fight until we smash U.S. imperialism, until we smash capitalism, until we smash all forms of oppression against oppressed people all over the world, until we smash racism, until we smash sexism, and we have to stay in this battle no matter how cold it is outside. I would like to invite everyone. The IAC is co-hosting this event coming up on Thursday at the Solidarity Center, 7 p.m., 147 West 24th Street. You might have gotten a flyer. We'll be discussing how this latest aggression against Venezuela and this latest aggression against people all over the world connects to aggression against people in Cuba, connects against people in Iran. And so we invite all of you to join us as we connect us to the global ongoing crisis. Thank you.
We see that the anti-Cuba forces have not shown up. Now, are there any other speakers? I am a friend of the people of Cuba. I'm a friend of the people of Venezuela. I am with the people. But I must admit that I'm a little bit selfish today because I am Mexican and we just elected an amazing president. And I see how everybody stay quiet as the media attack us. Even the Wall Street Journal was claiming that we are buying less gasoline. The United States make us sell them our oil, and then we have to buy them gasoline. It's like you're selling oranges and you're buying very, very expensive orange juice. It makes no sense. But you all stay quiet. You know what? They call us rapists, thieves, whole countries. We have to protest the media. We have to oust them. The media is their spokespeople, and we gotta get rid of them. And we cannot allow this president. This is the biggest slippery slope. If we allow this coup d'etat in Venezuela, that's a precedent that's gonna be repeating all over again. And Mexico, it's not that I'm inflated. Mexico is our last hope. If we don't get behind my government right now,
that is for the people and doing amazing things in less than 50 days in government is doing more than the last 6 presidents. And he is giving back the land to the people, especially our indigenous people. We're giving reparations, something the United States refused to give reparations to African Americans. Shame on you all, because you should be pressing every day. We owe everything to African Americans, to the African diaspora. They built this country, not immigrants. Give the proper respect to black people in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that important message, and I'm sure we all will appreciate the fact that the New Mexican government of Andrés Manuel López Obrador has stood up almost alone in Latin America to the Yankee aggression that's being organized as we speak and is trying to be organized right down the street here at the United Nations. So hopefully people will follow the example of Mexico and stand up to this aggression. Is there anybody else?
The policies that are genocidal toward Cuba, Venezuela, are the same policies that we are fighting against in Puerto Rico. Please remember to fight colonialism. It's part of our same fight. I am from the Committee in Solidarity with the teachers and students of Puerto Rico who are waging the teachers' daily marches and strikes against the same forces that are affecting New York City, privatizing, cutting pensions, cutting benefits. So this is all one fight, brothers and sisters. Let's stand together with Venezuela, with Cuba, Mexico, Puerto Rico. We are all together. A cold day, but warm hearts.